This is a photograph I shot one evening in Ueno. Ueno is an old yet lively area of Tokyo, located just a little north from Tokyo Station. It has a bit of a unique feeling to it, I find, and that is why one evening I decided to head out for a nightly shoot in the not yet sleeping town of Ueno, and in this video I'm taking you with me to explore the streets equipped with my trusty little Lumix GX80. Let's see what we can find.
Hold on to the hand of self-destruction. I'm back to a place that I left a long time ago. Just give me a sec.
After changing trains to the good old Yamanote-sen, I got off at Ueno Station and found myself a little lost and confused. This is one of Tokyo's bigger stations after all, and I've only come here twice, I think.
Pick up my guitar
So today I've come to Ueno. I'm looking for all sorts of fun things to shoot today. Hopefully it's going to rain a little more because I like the wet aesthetic. And let's see what we can find.
I decided to start off a little basic, to get warm, so just try to get a couple establishing shots from the bridge here. While I'm sure many have done this before me, I must say it was fun to wait for a train to enter the frame and shoot this busy scene. Thanks to the rain, the streets are strongly reflecting the car's headlights, which I appreciate for the look. Shooting from a bridge like this one is really fun because I get such a neat overview of what is going on, allowing me to sort of pick and choose frames to photograph.
Too much on your plate. Everything will be better when I find a way.
Here, I noticed a car trying to squeeze by the people in the street, which I think made for an interesting shot. I really like how the car stands out in this second shot because it appears a little out of place with all the people surrounding it. I quite like this top-down shot. It's a fun perspective and I got to play around with the shapes and lines, which adds a lot of structure to the composition. Here I came across a bit of a tragic scene, although it's a pretty normal sight here in Japan. With this photograph I wanted to capture the overall motion going on around Ueno Station, where you see people on their way to dinner, salarymen on their way home, and other workers having a breakdown or simply sleeping or something. What I found quite striking here is the normality of it, with the guy in black standing right next to the seated guy just hanging out. Here I was passing by the Yodobashi camera where I spotted a mother and her child looking through the choices of gashapon. Here's the shot I got, and I really like it. I think it holds such a childish sparkle while not really looking all that romantic, visually speaking, but it reminds me of the childish excitement I'd feel when knowing that I might get a new toy. And also, gashapon is such a core part of Japanese culture that I haven't really been able to capture that much of yet, and so I'm happy that I got this one. After walking around the Yodobashi camera and getting some shots here and there, I decided to walk back to the station. On the way, I spotted this woman who I think was using a printer. I thought if I caught the right moment, this could be a really nice shot. Here's the result, and I really like it. The timing worked out wonderfully so that it's framed as if this were a quiet scene of her printing in the stillness of the night. While in actuality you saw that there were people everywhere and it was most certainly not quiet. But I enjoy how the photograph suggests otherwise. By the way, before I get asked the following a lot again, I do have presets, not for sale in a classic way though, but you can actually get them on my Patreon where I upload a new preset every month. And so for the month of October I'll be posting the preset of the look I created for these photographs I shot on this evening. If you're interested, there's a link in my bio.
So don't you tell me I am selfish just because I look out for myself.
Next, I decided to cross the road here and enter the Ameya Yokocho, which is an old marketplace built right below the train. In the evening, many locals gather here to find their dinner or go for drinks. I was now mentally preparing for some very busy street photography.
Don't do it 'cause it doesn't work. I'd rather shoot your shots. I did it, so I know you got this. We're all living one bad offense. You'll get your dreams, just do your best. So don't you tell me I am helpless just because I'm searching for myself. I've been working hard just so I can say I told you so. I told you so.
I quite like this one that captures some details and textures while also including a couple people to add the life to the frame. By the way, let's briefly talk about camera settings because that seems to be something that many are often curious about. This evening was fairly easy to shoot with the Lumix because especially this area is pretty well lit and hence doesn't require a camera that can shoot very well in low light. To give you a rough overview, the shots I was getting around here I shot at ISO 200 with the aperture wide open at f1.7 to let in enough light. And then I just set the shutter speed accordingly, which in these lighting situations is usually around 1/80th of a second. On the low end I used 1/30th and on the high end I went up to 1/250th if I had to expose for a brighter scene. This shot is somehow interesting. At first I dismissed it because there was no real subject here, seeing as of the most prominent person I only captured the back of their head. But then, when I looked a little longer, this photo still captured some feeling for me. To me, it looks like this character is staring at the food being served behind the curtain, a stare of desire. But because they're stood here so firmly, it almost seems like they're unable to attain the food to satisfy said desire. I don't know, for some reason this photo turned out to evoke more emotion than I first expected. At this point, I had passed the busiest spots and was now exploring the side streets. we continue, I want to take a moment to thank the continued sponsor of the channel, Squarespace. Squarespace is an easy-to-use all-in-one website platform. I've been using Squarespace for my website for over 5 years now, and I'm still so happy with it, mainly because it's so easy. I use my Squarespace website as a portfolio where I showcase projects of mine. However, you can build pretty much anything on Squarespace, be it a simple blog or an online shop or a site for bookings if you're a freelancer. To make things even easier, Squarespace has released their AI design feature called Design Intelligence, which you can use instead of a template. You can basically build the entire basis of your website with the help of an AI tool which will ask you a couple questions, and that's it. But if you'd prefer to start off from a template, that's of course still possible. After selecting a template, it's very easy and intuitive to customize the web design to your liking thanks to their drag and drop editor called Fluid Engine. I seriously love it that they have created this tool that makes the process of being creative while making a website not feel slow or tedious, even though I'm not a web developer. I recommend that you try it out yourself. You can head to squarespace.com for a 14-day free trial, by the way, and then when you're ready to launch your website, you can go to squarespace.com/TaoCrawford to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for continuously supporting the channel and my work here. I really appreciate it. This shot I think is pretty cool. I enjoy how it feels a bit like a quiet little cave away from the busy street. It's again a photograph that captures, for me at least, a sense of stillness and calm, even though you, of course, know just as well as me that this place was certainly not quiet. This shot is not really that special, but I wanted to capture this scene anyway because I liked the contrast between the location and the subject. Ueno is one of the very few places in Tokyo that I feel like can get a little bit sketchy at times, and in this scene the dark alley with the red light really enhances that, I find. But then here is a mother with kids happily walking around, which just caught my eye because it's a bit of a contrast to what I'm used to seeing in this type of a scene. Here I entered this small side street that feels more like a little tunnel than a street. It was interesting, so I tried to get a couple shots. I'm happy that I was still just able to keep the guy at the back in the frame before they turned away and left me with an empty scene. I think this shot isn't too uninteresting. I like how on the left this photo just fades to complete darkness and the focus is kept very clearly on the shop. However, the extra person standing outside of the shop adds a little bit of spice. That additional subject that puts the other two people into relation to this person, which I find makes the composition just a bit more interesting and balanced. At this point, I had left Ueno and was slowly making my way to Akihabara, where I was planning to finish this evening's shoot. With the streets here being much quieter, there consequently was also less to photograph, or maybe I was just less sensitive because of the overstimulation I had just gone through. I kept walking and just shooting some random things that caught my eye, none of which really turned out all too interesting, I think. This one, however, is not too bad, I find. I like the change in lighting colour and the subject that puts the size of the surroundings into perspective. I think this shot also turned out pretty neat, with the two subjects, the bike and the person enjoying their dinner. It's a simple shot with a simple story. This photograph is a bit random, but in a way that is precisely why I took it. When I saw this, I thought this could make for some interesting abstract photograph, and now looking back at what I captured, I think I was right. At least I still find this somewhat interesting. I must admit, however, that maybe due to its abstraction, I'm having difficulties to put into words what it is that I like here. It's just the light and the shapes, they somehow appear interesting to me. And that's okay, I suppose. Maybe I'm the only one who will appreciate this particular shot. But, I mean, that's what photography is about, isn't it? That gasp was a gasp of happy surprise. While in Japan, Melly and I have become big fans of a particular vending machine that produces freshly pressed orange juice. Yes, we're fans of a vending machine. But seriously, it's really cool and the juice is so good. So I could not resist and just decided to take an orange juice break. After my juicy break, I continued my walk. However, I was feeling like I couldn't find much more. Maybe I just used up my creative juices for the evening, not sure. I did find one more interesting scene though. This guy having a video call in this mini park was worth a shot for me. The photo turned out alright, I'd say. And that turned out to be the last shot of the evening. I did walk around a little longer, but I just didn't really find anything else, and so I decided to end the session. To finish off the night, I took the train to Kanda, where I needed to change trains, but before taking my train home, I went to one of those tiny 24-hour soba places to get a little evening meal, which was a cool experience. This was my first time at this type of soba place. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Before saying goodbye, I would like to say thank you to the lovely people supporting me and my work on Patreon. Thank you so much to each one of you. If you're interested in Lightroom presets, tutorials and stuff like that, you can check out my page via the link in the description. I also have a print shop, by the way, in case that is of interest to you, also link in the description. With that said, I hope to see you again soon. Until then, goodbye.